Welcome to Primitive Mycology. Today we'll be spawning to bulk. As we begin here, we're working in a still air box today. I myself have an FFU and a Broke Boy Fantech that I normally use, but this is something that I still had laying around, and I understand that a lot of newcomers are going to be using a still air box. This can absolutely be done with a large 66 quart tote and some holes cut in it for your hands. I have pre-sanitized the entire inside of the vessel, as well as pre-sanitized all of the bags of substrate. This is Master's Mix 50/50 soy hulls and oak hardwood pellets. And the two cultures that we're working with today are 2 half-gallon jars, one of Maitake and the other of Piapino. The one had already been broken up before this, because if you notice, there's a plastic lid on one. Those are relatively easy to get off, and there is a metal lid on the other, which are relatively hard to get off. And if you notice, there are no injection ports. Well, I guess on the one there is, but I normally don't use injection ports as I inoculate with agar. You know that you have clean spawn when you inoculate with a clean petri dish. Anyways, here we are. We're going to be inoculating 2 bags of each. With these half-gallon jars, I could do more than that, but I'm looking for quick results on this, as I'm kind of pheno hunting a little bit with the Piapino. It's multi-spore, and the Maitake is a new culture that I want to see grow quickly, and Maitake is notorious for taking quite a while to fruit. There's also in here one smaller bag that is only 3.5 pounds, and that is the first one I'm working with there. You see the blue tag on it. It is a slightly different substrate mix. Maitake sometimes can benefit from using hardwood chips, but chips have too much airspace, so you get a quick colonization, but it takes quite some time to fruit, and they don't fruit as well. So what I've done here is the 50% of oak hardwood pellets, well, half of that has been replaced with apple wood chips. Also, you'll notice that I'm doing 2 bags of each there. So I am prepping these bags, wiping them down with isopropyl a second time, inside the gusset, everywhere. And then, because these were done in a pressure cooker and it creates a vacuum, and when I pull them out, I seal them in the impulse sealer, they are still going to have quite a bit of a vacuum. So I go ahead and cut the tops off of them. We're also in a still air box. Nothing can fall. There's a lid here. The only things you have to worry about inside of here are contaminants that are moving around. And, you know, when you pre-sanitize your environment, I will also kind of saturate the floor with 10% bleach water. That way, the floor of this, you know, is going to radiate that and evaporate up into the air. So any particles that could still be in there, most of them are going to die during this process. It's called a bleach bomb. Thank God that my face is not in there for me to have to smell that, because when you open the door on the end, it's strong, but it works. Anyways, I'm going to shut my mouth for a few minutes and just allow you to observe. By no means am I perfect, but I am successful. There's a million ways to do this. This is just one. Kick back and enjoy. thing to think about when spawning to bulk is, although you need to be sanitary and you need to try to be as clean as possible, this is the point of the process in which you can kind of relax and kind of kick it, you know. Your agar work has to be perfect. Or not perfect, but proficient. Don't ever use a plate that isn't clean. Clean it up. Making spawn masters, that needs to be dialed into a T. Or use a very well trusted liquid culture. Once you have established spawn though, that's going to be resilient and strong. And if you have a sterile substrate, not hydrated with just boiling water, although that will work with higher nutrition runs like I use, you have to either ultra pasteurize for 12-14 hours or sterilize for 2 to 3 hours. Depending on the size batch I do, I may run 3.5 hours. And depending on if I'm making a compost and manure loving substrate, because of the manure, I'm going to go 3.5 hours. But at this point, you can kind of kick back and relax. This could honestly be done with a fairly good success rate. You know, 85, 90, 95% in the open air. No joke, there's methods for it. Something to think about: if you don't have access to a pressure cooker and you're not able to sterilize your substrate, you can absolutely turn down the amount of supplementation. Instead of doing 50-50 masters mix, do 80-20. 80% sawdust, 20% soy hulls. The lower amount of nutrition invites less competitors. So with boiling water, you could make that work. I've seen many people do it, but you don't get as good results or as many mushrooms or as many fruitings. And there is a higher rate of contamination, but it absolutely will work.
What we do here is go back.